were better off, I got a little bumper sticker for you. Osama bin Laden is dead and General Motors is alive.
Well, you heard that line. You remember it over and over again during President Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. It was what they were most proud of at that point. But now, nearly 2 years later, reports show that al-Qaeda is clearly on the rise worldwide, and that comes from the State Department. And General Motors is having a very tough year, more than 13.7 million vehicles they've had to recall so far. That is more cars than they have sold since they filed for bankruptcy 5 years ago. That's a tough spot to be in. Joined now by Lars Larson, syndicated radio host at Compass Media Networks, and Leslie Marshall, also a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor. Leslie and Lars, welcome. Good to have you here.
Good morning.
You know, that's a tough soundbite for the administration to watch these days, Leslie.
Well, I don't think the soundbite is wrong. Osama bin Laden is dead. General Motors isn't dead, even though I cannot defend, obviously, knowing about anything faulty with the car for a decade. There was absolutely no excuse for that. But the numbers show that they've increased their employment year after year, including this year. They have jobs right now posted, pages of them I just checked before we came on air. And in addition, they're number one worldwide in vehicle unit sales. They provide cars to 37 countries in addition to the United States. They're number one as an automaker here in the United States. And even though you would think there would be incredible consumer backlash, there hasn't been. So I think they're still alive.
Obviously, points well taken. Obviously, we all know that bin Laden is still dead, and that's a good thing. But the overarching theme here, Lars, that I'd like you to take on for me is the question. You know, basically it was the suggestion that the economy was strong, right? And that terrorism was in decline. I mean, that's the overarching message that Joe Biden was giving there. And we know that there is evidence that would prove that it is exactly the opposite.
It is the opposite. I mean, think about it. The president echoed the same kind of words at the Democrat Party convention in his speech to the convention when he was renominated. And a week later, or 10 days later, one of our ambassadors is murdered in Benghazi. The fact is that all bin Laden was a symbol of al-Qaeda. He was significant in and of himself because of his involvement in the 9/11 attacks. But he was a symbol of al-Qaida. What the president and what Looney Tunes Joe Biden were trying to suggest was that because bin Laden is dead, al-Qaeda is gone. And of course, it's not. We see evidence of it everywhere now. And General Motors. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to take a look at a couple of numbers while you're finished with that, because we've got GM stock here down 18.2%. over the course of 2014 while all of this is happening. You've got the national unemployment rate at 6.3%, which is a number that has improved. But you've got the real unemployment rate at 12.3%. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And GDP in the first quarter up 0.1%. Measly growth. You add to that, Leslie, and we want to go back to you, that the State Department says that the terrorist threat has continued to evolve rapidly in 2013 and that it poses a threat to the United States, our allies, and all of our interests.
Well, when Joe Biden said that Osama bin Laden is dead, I didn't hear the vice president or anybody from this administration saying that terrorism doesn't exist, that all terrorists are dead, that Al-Qaeda has been wiped out. What we have always said, and I think even people on the right have concurred, that there at the time were the three top heads of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden being number one and bringing in a lot of money to that terrorist organization, not just being a figurehead, Lars, that he was taken out. Certainly, to me, the idea that terrorism would disappear after the death of bin Laden, I don't think any American believed that.
But do you acknowledge what the State Department has reported, which is that the threat of Islamic radical terrorism is on the rise?
Absolutely. You can't ignore the facts. When we look at the kidnapping of the girls in Nigeria and the latest explosion there in Boko Haram, most recently in the past 24 hours in the northern section of China, you can't dispute the facts. But at the time, the facts were that Osama bin Laden was killed, and it did weaken for a temporary amount of time Al-Qaeda. And I believe we, the American people in the United States, can help with the work to weaken
because I cut you off before, so let me finish. Lars, finish your thought, and then we got to go.
Well, the fact is that the president backed down the global war on terror, and now we have more terrorism. And the American people subsidized General Motors' bailout to the tune of billions of dollars, and the company is clearly not having a great time now.
All right. Lars and Leslie, thank you very much. Interesting to look back and to sort of take stock on where we are now. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Martha.